Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's circle journal time again. So it's time of the month when I normally do a circle art journal page, and the prompt for my page is usually based on, or the inspiration for my page is usually based on either a song lyric or a poem. So today it's going to be a song lyric. Now, I mentioned earlier in the week, if you watched the vlog or anything, that it would be a song not taken, it's not a pop song, it was a pop song, it did chart, but it was actually taken from a musical version of the novelisation, well, from a novel, I should say, rather than a film. So it's a musical adaptation of a book rather than a film or anything like that. So, and we'll get to it in a little while. So in front of me, I've got some craft card leaves, distressed leaves. Now I think, I think these are a Tim Holt die. Don't quote me on that. These were sent to me in Happy Mail a while ago as a packet, just with all these here. I have seen on some Chinese websites that you can buy the dies for these very, very cheaply, but I no longer have a die cutting machine because I've got a laser cutter, so I don't need a die cutting machine. So the only way I could recreate these shapes is basically if I bought the dies, had them cut, and then scanned them and then auto trace them to create my own cutting file. But that's a long and laborious process, and I'm not prepared to do that. So yeah, I'm going to use these ones, and hopefully in the future I might be able to find some SVG files of somebody who's maybe already done it on Etsy or something like that. But there we go. So these are tattered leaves, so you can see they've got the skeleton leaf kind of structure in them. They're lovely. It's just that they're all brown and we want some colour to them. So what I'm going to do today, and I've just realised I have no water in here. Both of my water bottles are empty. Well, how rubbish is that? That's not very good, is it? Right, so what I'll do is let me just nip off and get some water, and then I'll be right back. All right, so now I've got some water, all filled up. So as I was saying, what I want to do today is I want to add some water to these beautiful die cut and intricate leaves. So what I'm going to use is a couple of things really. I'm going to use some indigo blue vivid inks. So I've got English mustard, olive green, Robin Hood, which obviously is another green, Alan Adale, which is kind of orangey colour, and it says dropping it all on the floor, Loxley yellow, which is a beautiful kind of yellow colour. So this is going to take a little bit of a while. So what I need to do, just unscrew, make sure the pipette has got some of that colour in, and I'm going to just randomly drop colour on the leaves, because what we want is some beautiful kind of autumnal colours coming through with these leaves, because here in the UK it's on its way. The birch trees in the garden have already started to drop their leaves, so we now have a beautiful carpet of leaves all over the lawn. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water just to kind of get that to spread a little bit. Look how beautiful that kind of wicks. I'm hoping that the light isn't just shining on the water now and you can't see it. So let me just grab my heat gun and we'll just start adding a little bit of gentle heat to this, and then hopefully you'll start to see some of that colour coming through. All right, so that was the Loxley yellow, which is a pale yellow. As you can see, it's started to tint quite nicely. But this is why we've got all sorts of different other colours to play with. So I've got English mustard here. So, and I've left some of the water on there just so that it kind of like blends. And I'm just going to, like I said, randomly drop these colours all over these leaves. And of course, with me using the heat gun on them as well, they've started to curl, which gives it that real kind of naturalistic, kind of falling off the tree kind of look to it. So again, I'm going to very lightly just add some water just to get it to wick and spread. And again, I'm going to hit it with the heat gun and we'll carry on. And then after I've done that, we'll talk about alien invasions. Okay, so I bet there was a few of you that went, yeah, alien invasion. What? Wait, what? What's that got to do with autumn leaves? All right, so let's talk about the inspiration for this art journal page. So as the title of the video suggests, Forever Autumn, so which was taken from the musical adaptation of the book War of the Worlds, which was written, the music adaptation was done in the 1970s, 1978 to be precise. The book that inspired it was 1898. I know, can you believe that The War of the Worlds was written in 1898? Absolutely crazy when you think how far back that goes. That's 127 years ago. 127 years ago, and it's a Martian invasion. Can you believe it? But what was the inspiration behind the book? What gave H.G. Wells, Herbert George, to his friends, what gave him the inspiration to write a sci-fi novel about aliens arriving from Mars? Well, believe it or not, the inspiration for the book came from the way the British colonials treated the indigenous population of Tasmania, which was shocking. They arrived, took over, and lots of them didn't survive, just like most of the invading forces, like the conquistadors took smallpox and that kind of stuff with them to South America. The British took influenza and blah 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 and loads of other stuff, which ended up decimating the populations. And that kind of was like the reporting of that was kind of the inspiration for War of the Worlds. And of course, the War of the Worlds novel, which is one of my favourites, I read only after hearing the musical adaptation that was done by Jeff Wayne in the 1970s. My sister had a copy, my eldest sister Angela had a copy, along with lots of ELO albums. And I listened and I heard that, and I just was blown away by the scope and the majesty, if you like, of the story. So much so that I asked for a copy of the book for my 10th birthday. Which basically, was it 10th birthday or was it Christmas? I think probably Christmas actually, that year. And that's what I got. I got a copy of War of the Worlds as a Christmas present. And that kind of is what catapulted my interest into sci-fi, science fiction and all that kind of stuff. And I was already interested in like most 10-year-olds are. I was interested in dinosaurs and ancient mysteries and that kind of stuff, and ghosts and the paranormal. What 10-year-old isn't? Before the days of the internet. Remember, I'm old enough. I'm older than the internet. So, you know, look at that beautiful colour coming up. So, yes, so one of the songs in Jeff Wayne's musical adaptation of War of the Worlds is a song called Forever Autumn, and that's where the lyrics are from for this song, for this journal page. So I've picked out just one line really from the song, and that song is, or the words are, "Through autumn's golden gown we used to kick our way," which, you know, just that whole phrase pictures, you know, two people walking hand in hand, you know, kicking through the leaves in the park. It's something that me and the dogs do every year. As we're going for walks and stuff, we walk through the leaves and we kick them and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's thoroughly romantic, but very, very sad at the same time. So, yeah, and it's a beautiful song. It's remained one of my firm favourites. And as with most, or a lot of people, it's on my list of songs to be played at my funeral, if I ever do have a funeral, you know, because I plan to live forever. All right, so that's the two yellows and the orange, the Allen-a-Dale, the Loxley yellow and the English mustard. So now I just want to add in, oh look, I haven't even opened this one yet. New product, love it. Give it a good shake, because some of those pigments do settle at the bottom a little bit if they're not being used. So give it a good shake up, that should do us. Break the seal. So this one is the olive green. Why do I seem to have mostly bubbles in that? There we go. So it's still a bit damp. I haven't let this dry out completely, and I'm just going to go in and just let this do its thing. What's wrong with this liquid? It's mostly bubbles. That'll do. So just add a little bit of darkness in there. I think the pipette may be faulty. I'll have to use a different pipette. Or get a brush in there. Oh, there we go. A little bit of that darkness up the top. And again, let's just let this fizz a little bit. If I had time, I would have just done this layer by layer and done all the light. I'll go in lighter to dark because I find it's easier, because obviously lighter colours are lighter, darker colours are darker, and if you put a darker colour, a lighter colour over a darker colour, you aren't going to see it. But if you do darker colours over lighter colours, then wherever you don't miss or you don't hit, that's what you see. So that's why I'm doing it that way, if that makes any sense. All right, so they're mostly dry now on the fronts. Anyway, the backs are going to be a little bit different, so they're going to be a bit more wet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the leaves and I'm just going to pat them down. This is where I get stuff all over my hands, and I'm going to just put them to one side after I've dried the backs. Let's just get a second sheet and just sandwich them between. There we go. So I'll go off and dry this lot. Look at those, just beautiful colours. So as I was saying, I'll go and dry this lot. It's going to be difficult to choose which side to use. get all this lot cleaned up, because this is going to take a while to clean up because it's pigment, and as soon as I add water to clean, it's just going to activate it all, and it's going to go everywhere. So yeah, so let me just go away and do all that, and I'll be back with you as soon as I can. All right, so that's had a bit of a clean up. As you can see, I'm hoping that's not too dark. You can see all that beautiful kind of pigment and colour now. That's turned those pieces of card into some real leafy looking beautiful pieces. But we're not stopping there, and I haven't dried them 100% yet because I've still got something else that I need to do. There's still a colour which is missing, which is mentioned in the song lyric, so it has to go in. So, and that is the colour gold. So I have some gold paint. So this is acrylic gold paint, and I've had to borrow this from Ian because I haven't got any. I know, shocking, isn't it? So I've no gold luscious colours, no pigments, no nothing. So, and I really ought to. So what I'm going to do is I've put some gold paint there, and I'm going to spritz some water next to the gold paint, and I'm going to create a real runny gold solution. Just like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to do lots and lots of gold splatters. So let me get a pencil so I can control it a little bit better. Just move those slightly. So the gold will stand out more on the darker ones. That'll do. Happy with that. Clean off the pencil. All right, so again, let's get this cleaned up, dried off. Look at that shine, and I'll be back. So there we go. Look at those beautiful leaves. I mean, come on. Just stunning. So of course, if you don't have any pigments like what I've used, you can just use ordinary watercolors. You could use your distress inks, you could use oxides, and then come in later on with maybe, you know, one of those metallic stains or sprays or whatever that you've got. You know, there's 101 different ways of doing it. So here's my page. So what I need to do now, see, it stands out better against that white page, doesn't it? But I can't just use white on the page. It does need to have some kind of background colour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in with that English mustard, but I'm going to wet the cardstock first. And there you go. It just pops up off the table. And I'll do the other side as well. My fingers are probably dirty. There we go, that's probably going to be better. It's going to hold down now. So what I want to do is I'm just going to add in some of that English mustard into the background. So the cardstock I've got is the Daily Rounding Mixed Media cardstock. It comes in different sizes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a smush. I'm going to try and add in some of that olive green as well, because there's not much in the actual leaves themselves anymore. And we'll do a smush. A smush. And we'll just leave that to sit for a second or two, just so that the ink or the pigments start to sink and soak into that background, like so. And then I'm just going to come in and just start dabbing off. That's it. Just so that we get a kind of broken up, mottled kind of background. And then just give it a quick blast. Just pop my colours away. There we go. Right, so now that we've got that dry, we can start coming in and placing the leaves wherever we feel that they need to go. I want to try and leave a little bit of a space here for my quote, but that's pretty much what I want to do, to start gluing down. And I've got just some Tombow Mono Aqua, and I'm just going to add little bits because I'm not particularly bothered about getting them all flat. They can stick up, they can stand up, whichever way they want, but I want to try and keep them within the confines of the page. So just adding a little bit of glue, and I'm just going to start building them up, if you like, just popping that down. Just a couple of blobs are going to do it. Oops. Just here and there, just enough. I just want to start building up a little bit of a, I won't say a collage, just a bit of a cluster. And it doesn't matter if some of them disappear under the others. That's all right. Because when leaves fall, that's what they do. They cover up. There's some beautiful shapes in here. I'm sure one of these is a Tim Holtz, but there's more shapes here than what I've actually seen advertised on his die. So I'll be interested to know where the others have come from. Unless it was a later release I've just not seen, which is quite possible. Because I'm not, you know, I don't necessarily keep up to date on every manufacturer's releases. To be quite honest, I mean, I'm not particularly all that enamoured anymore with what Tim's producing. You know, how many distress inks do you actually need? If you know what I mean. Okay. How many colours? I mean, last count, what was it? 80? Something like that. Alright, so I've got one last leaf. Now, am I going to just be able to tuck that there? And then what I can do is I can layer up my quote. Let's tuck that one underneath so it just comes up and over there like that. And I think there was about a dozen there. It's just, that's the beauty of this glue as well. You can maneuver it. You've got wiggle room. There we go. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, on to the quote. All right, so scissors. I might have to cut this into a couple or three. So first of all, let's do the Justin. Alright, so I've just noticed it's got suddenly very warm in my shed. Although we have had rain today. Let's move that up that way. Let's cut that. Do it in 4. Let's do it in 4. Like it. Right, distress ink. Out of all my distress inks that I had, all 60 odd or whatever colours it was, I dumped them all and just kept 2, which was the vintage photo and the rusty hinge, mainly because they're the 2 colours that I use the most of and had multiples of. Ian uses the vintage photo quite a lot, and of course the rusty hinge, because you know it's an orangey rusty colour, perfect for steampunky kind of things. So yeah, I like that. I think actually to mark the onset of autumn, I have done a project with leaves, I think nearly every year, for quite a few years. So this carries on that tradition, really. All right, so let's get that Justin Hayward one stuck down. We'll put him buried in the leaves. Just like that. And then we'll work bottom. And I'm going to do it at an angle. And I'm going to do the first line next. So I'll do the last line. Make sure I've got that right. But never mind. So I'll stick that one there. So the reason I do that is just so I can get the positioning of the words so that I can get them a bit more even. There we go. So let me just leave that to sit just for a second or two, and then maybe just pick that and just drop that down a bit, just so that it is a bit straighter. About yeah, that'll do. How's that? Lovely, like it. Okay, so let that dry for a second and then I'll be right back. All right, so just to finish off, I'm going to add a little bit of a border just around the outside, but just a scrabbly border. Nothing elaborate, nothing fancy, just to finish it off really. More like what I call like a barbed wiry kind of thing. It just helps to kind of hold it all together, and I'm going to go underneath the leaf. There we go. So it just kind of finishes that off, gives it a little bit of border. And I think, although I haven't done this for a while, let's just add, because it's an art journal page and all said and done, so we may as well just use some old art journal-y kind of tropes and methods. So we'll go around and just add little borders. And again, so there are 101 different ways that you can do this. Pencils, Stabilo awls. Actually, I probably won't need that. So there we go. So that is my August art journal page featuring the lyrics from the song Forever Autumn by Justin Hayward from 1978, which is from the musical adaptation of the novel of the War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. So on the back, what do I normally write on the back? I normally write the date. So today's date is, what date is it today? Oh my goodness, 27th of August. August 27th, and the year 2025. There we go. So flip that back over, and there we have it, all done. Haven't signed it, haven't signed any of the other ones for the year, so I'm not going to do this one. So like I said, I hope you've enjoyed watching me create this art journal page for my song lyric art journal for 2025. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. And don't forget, you can access your exclusive angel-only content over on my website. There's a link in the description area below. Thank you.